All right. Top 10 Rolling Stones songs. You know, I haven't listened to every single track on every single album. I prefer the 60s, 70s, probably 70s, and very late 60s stuff. Their material in the early 60s is a little uninspired, unadventurous. Their 80s stuff is a little too dyed in the wool. The 90s stuff returns for me a bit. So, starting out, let me see, top 10, and only 10. Number 10 would be uh, Hey, Hey, You Get Off of My Cloud. That's number 10. Number 9 is, well, the breakdown. It's not my. It's a good song. It's one of the best songs I can think of, but it's not my favorite. Number 9, I would say, is Beast of Burden. Slightly better than Get Off My Cloud. I like the chorus a lot, for the mostly. Um, Number 7, sorry, number 8 is a tie between She's a Rainbow and you know, there's a song that sounds a lot like it, and it's tied with it because they're basically the same song, but they're just sort of one of them is lyrically kind of revamped. Um, it's sort of a, happy-go-lucky, mournful, sort of doleful, night and day kind of moody songs. I wouldn't say that they're bipolar in their themes, but they're the way that the logical progression in She's a Rainbow is somewhat contrastive, decidedly, and a lot of stuff isn't. I mean, I wouldn't say if, like, a lot of stuff tries to have the same vibe. I feel like She's a Rainbow kind of takes you up and down. It's a little more of a roller coaster in terms of the mood that you're supposed to sympathize with to the singer. Can't think of the other one that's equivalent to it, but there's another song that's just as famous. Ruby Tuesday. That's it. Ruby Tuesday and She's a Rainbow are kind of, to me, they're kind of comparable. Maybe Ruby Tuesday is is better, but they're still in the same boat. Number So that's 8. Number 7 is Angie. Angie, to me, is a beautiful song. It's similar to She's a Rainbow or Ruby Tuesday, but it's just a little more personal. What I do like about it is that I had a girlfriend at one point named Angie who passed away, and so that song dolefully allows me to reflect on her life and the gift that she was to people. And how grateful I am to have had her in my life when I did. Number 6, maybe a little bit different. Song is let's say Brown Sugar for number 6. It's it, it's kind of edgy, kind of wild and charged, but it isn't like so overblown in its energy. And it's not. It's quirky lyrically. It's kind of got a lot of personality, but it's not like, a front and center, like, favorite. It's a little in the background. Brown Sugar. That's 6, right? Yeah. Okay. Now at 5. Um. Probably one of the more energetic songs. Uh, fuck. Let's say, huh. Some of their main songs are just I get so tired of, like "Paint It Black." You can't you hear me? "Give Me Shelter." Um, I can't get no satisfaction, and what's the other one? You can't always "Sympathy for the Devil." Those just get really tiresome. I would say for number five. Where is this five? It's six. I think number six. No, no, it's five. Number five would be. Wait, let's do count up. Okay, so number 10 is "Get Off My Cloud." Number nine is uh, "Ruby Tuesday." No, number nine is shit. What was number nine? Okay, number nine has got to be well, number no, okay, number eight was "Ruby Tuesday" slash "She's a Rainbow." Number seven is "Angie." Number six is, yeah, so we're at five. Number six was "Brown Sugar." So number five is "Start Me Up." Like it's similar to "Brown Sugar." It's a little better, I think. Number four is "You Can't Always Get What You Want." It's one of their more popular songs that I actually do still like. Um, Number three is probably "Jumping Jack Flash." It's probably number three. Number two, I just think that's one of their more energetic and charismatic rocker songs. Um, I find it to be a lot more charismatic than, say, "Street Fighting Man" or um, you know "Paint It Black." "Give Me Shelter." Okay, so number two is "Thief in the Night," which is on the "Bridges to Babylon" album. It's the only '90s song. I think it's my second favorite. That one I associate with a friend who died in his sleep from an overdose, or the complications of drug use and sleep apnea, because he used a sleep apnea machine. So that's number two. And number one, my all-time favorite Stones song is probably from Sticky Fingers. It's probably "You Can't," 1972. "Can't You Hear Me Knocking." That's probably my favorite one. I don't know. I just think the Mick Taylor riff is so incredible. Don't know where he got it, and then everything just revolves around that rhythm guitar, and it's just like it's searing the whole song. And then the way that the band kind of like just like kind of leans into like the riff as well. Like they just you don't really hear them appreciate the guitar work in a lot of their like, especially Mick Jagger. You don't really hear him like appreciate, like you just obviously appreciate the riff, but in that song you can tell by his singing that he is very much in appreciation of like the godlike guitar playing by Mick Taylor, and it's just one riff, but it just sounds so tasty, and so kinetic. So that's top 10. In backwards order, it's "Can't You Hear Me Knocking," then "Thief in the Night," then "Jumping Jack Flash," then "Start Me Up," then "Brown Sugar," then "Angie," then it's a tie at number eight. It's "Ruby Tuesday" and "She's a Rainbow," and then at number, so we have 11 total, and then at nine it's "Beast of Burden," which is from the 1978 album "Some Girls," and that's probably their second best '70s album. after Sticky Fingers. So really some very good 70s stuff. Probably my favorite era for them overall. Just in terms of the attitude that they had throughout that decade. It's one of the best decades in all of American history for culture. And it's also the bicentennial of the founding of 1976, 200 years past 1776. I think it was a good decade for America, frankly. And then the last one on the list, which was the first one, so it's the lowest on the list, was Get Off My Cloud, which it's kind of like a guilty pleasure almost. Anyway, that's it. 10 minutes, 45 seconds at the finale. I'm a little jaded with all the YouTubing I've been doing. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. But I'm right now. It's 11 minutes. I'm gonna pop off and do another top 10 on the couch, because these videos are pretty easy to make as long as you have the memory and attention span for them, and at least some threadbare, knowledge that you can sort of just, churn in circles and have people sort of revel at, despite not really representing much about, the echelons of topics that you see. I don't even know what I'm saying now. Echelons of topics. I just wanted to say echelon. I guess echelon's like a formation. So yeah, these topics are in echelon formations, but I don't have the gift for gab these days, so whatever I meant by that is probably lost on you already. And thanks for tuning in. Right now I'm going to pop off and do another top 10, probably for a different band from the 70s. I'm getting a little tired of reviewing 60s videos. I don't have the same passion for 60s music as I do for 70s music, because unlike in the 70s, I only like the last 5 years of the 60s or so. And by like, I mean love. I mean, I like the first half, but I love the second half. With the 70s, I like both halves of the decade. And even the 80s, it's hard for me to say that about. I think the second half of the 80s is like, I've said this before, I don't think it's really the better half of the 80s. Anyway, that's it. 13 minutes is a good time to end. 13 is slowly turning into my favorite number. And two honorable mentions, so we can get 13 songs total. I would say honorable mentions are Painted Black and Give Me Shelter are okay. I don't hate them. They're a little tedious because they're overplayed. And then I do respect I Can't Get No Satisfaction. I don't really recommend it because I don't think it's the best song to listen to over and over again on repeat. I just feel like that's an extremely overplayed song, but it is, to me, one of the first songs to really embrace like sort of a hard driven sound. And this came out, summer of '65. I think it was basically like the song that invented rock music as we know it. Maybe someone say invented punk music, or it invented a certain grit and edge sonically. Or at least it brought it to the fore. I mean, I guess you had like other people like Rumble by Link Ray and stuff. Like a lot of other sonically stuff that just wasn't as popular. But I Can't Get No Satisfaction was like a pop hit that really brought rock into the forefront of mainstream music in a way that was explosive. So yeah, a little bit over 13 minutes. And then in terms of albums, just as an epilogue, I would say you can listen to Aftermath. It's a good 60s album. The 70s, I'd go for Sticky Fingers. 80s, I'm not so hip on the 80s Stones music. 90s, I would say Bridges to Babylon. And I know ever since I saw that David Bowie in collaboration Dancing in the Street with Mick Jagger or whatever, I kind of like, dimmed out on 80s for the Rolling Stones. It was not the most flattering time for them. And they were all probably, recovering from drug addictions. I don't know. I really don't know the story. But it doesn't seem like the best time for them. Although I'm sure it was better than now. Now they're on death's door, it seems like. And R.I.P. Charlie Watts. This is probably my first Rolling Stones video for the channel. I've heard great things about Charlie Watts as a human being. I'm eager to listen to his jazz album, his jazz work, several albums perhaps. I don't really know the catalog, but I just know that he did some jazz work. And he was always a jazz aficionado. And I also learned that he was a trucker before he was in the Stones, so he had some blue-collar background or work experience, whatever you want to put it. And then he also was very annoyed at the way they treated Brian Jones, which I never knew. I heard that as an anecdote. And that gladdens my heart because I always feel like Brian Jones is like thrown to the wolves, kind of. And I think the Rolling Stones kind of had a dark reputation in some ways because of the sort of superficial attitudes they carried, and especially Mick and Keith, they carried around with them, and that they would sort of fling at their other bandmates sometimes, especially Brian Jones, who tragically died in his swimming pool in like 66, 67, something like that, late 60s. Anyway, that's it. I'll try to make another one of these videos, of course, when I have more information. Like, I don't even know when Brian Jones died. That's a problem. So I promise that I'll be better with the chronology and probably, hopefully, a bit more insightful with the anecdotes and possessing more veracity and verisimilitude. Or more veracity than verisimilitude. Anyway, next up on the list. 17 minutes. Lots of rambling. Peace.